ready to get at it and put some paint down on this painting, hot air balloon. And I was just looking at my colors here, and because I want a really intense blue, I think I'm going to go with a lot of phthalo blue in there. I'll mix a little bit of cobalt into it probably, but I think that's the direction I want to go. So without any further ado, let me flip the cameras around here so you can see kind of what's going on. And if you've watched me paint at all before, you know kind of how I do things, how I work it. So the first thing I want to do is take and turn this just like that. And so this is what I term as letting the painting paint itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is saturate this with clear water. And I'm just going to take and this 2-inch brush that I'm using here, and carries a lot of moisture in it. It doesn't matter, I could spray this down if I wanted to. The key is to saturate that surface. Every artist paints a little differently. There's a lot of them who will never use this much water, but this is, I think, what makes my style maybe a little different, sets me apart from other watercolor painters. So I've got that thoroughly saturated, and I'm just going to tip this up so you can see how wet that is. You can see how the water's resisting on the on the balloon. Boy, my mind's disconnected tonight. But anyway, so there is the sort of the priming, so to speak. I'm going to take a paper towel here, right here, and I just want to get this excess off here. Just it's puddling up there, and it just can save you a headache. So I mean, it's not crucial, but it's a good idea. All right, so I want to take and I'll start here, and I'll just stay with this large brush. I'm going to get me some raw sienna right here. I sprayed these just a little bit ago, and I want to start down here by putting a little bit of raw sienna in there, just like that. Okay, clean my brush out here, and then I'm going to come over here, and I want to start with some phthalo blue. You see how strong that is, and I want to just really get an intense color here, but I got to make sure I got it mixed up good. So let's go right up here and start in, just like so. Work my way all the way down into that. There we go. Clean the brush. And I'm going to get some cobalt blue now. I'm going to come in there with it. Added too much moisture there. So just like that. Work it on down there. What I want to do is get that a nice dark up here, and down to just a real pale color down here. I may even throw a little phthalo green in down at the very bottom. So let me blot my brush here, get a little bit of phthalo green. It's not going to take a great deal of it to do what I want it to do, but it will help to, that's too much there, but it'll be okay. Will help give us some luminance down at the bottom. And I'll kind of blend that up into the top there just a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to begin this process of letting this thing paint itself. I can do this because it is so wet. Getting all this extra off here. Okay, so you can see how that's running there, and I'm gonna put more pigment in here. I'll probably put some moon glow even up. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. That's the ticket. So if I go like this, then that's going to make that sky run down, and I'll get you the best view I can with the camera there. So these colors here are, oop, I touched that, that's a no-no. You see that mark it made? These colors here are running down that way. You can see how it's moving down around the balloon right now. Right there. See there? Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I need to darken that up before it gets too dry on me. So again, I'm going to get some moon glow out of here. Step off stage there for a second to get my tube of moon glow. Good Daniel Smith color. Something I'm really bad about is just working with dry paint in my palette rather than getting fresh paint out. Okay, now I'm going to pull in some of that blue, because what I want is to get this nice, deep, rich, dark blue color here. And we just take our time and keep working it. Add a little bit of red to it. See what this does. There we go. Now we're starting to get some dark. I'm just going to keep working it. So what I do is tilt that up like that. And those colors are going to run. And that's exactly what we want them to do. And I'll tilt it like this. You can see it's running right over here and running there. And you just keep rotating it around, keeping it on an angle, using gravity to paint it. Little dot right there I want to get picked up. And it's real important that you don't get nervous or push the panic button in this stage of the process. Now what I want you to watch is these pigments here, they're going to work their way down in. This is still pretty wet right down in here. You can see how those colors are moving. As long as that's wet, they'll just keep creeping around. Come in just like that. I'm going to have to be careful as I get down here, because it's going to want to turn blue on me, and I want to keep it kind of brighter down there, so just keep working at it. Turn that like that. And I'm going to get some more of this raw sienna down in here. Not burnt sienna, it's raw sienna. Alright, so we just keep tilting and letting it do its thing. It's plenty wet right now. There you can see how rough that surface is. That's the bubbles and the ripples in it. You can also see how it's moving over here. That looks like a little bit of a potential problem there, but we don't want to panic. We just want to keep working it. All right, so I'm going to keep tilting this around here, and I'm going to stop the cameras for just a minute so that I can focus on this, and I'll be back and show you what it's doing, okay? All right, I am back with you, and you can see how things are working out. Got nice gradient all the way down, and it just transitions to this nice lighter color here. So what I want to do is grab my hair dryer right here and dry this before things get out of hand with it. So I'm going to mute this and dry this real quick. All right, it's dry now, looking pretty good. It's leveled back out. Let me tilt it up so you can see how flat it's gotten. Remember all those wrinkles I had? So if you use a hair dryer on there, you can get that a nice, get the paper to lay back down from all the moisture that's on it. So don't be afraid to do that. Now I'm going to take a unique step here from deviate from the way I normally paint. I think might be a good way to say it. I want this to be even deeper valued here, and so I'm going to take and glaze over what's here another layer of blue. But as I come down and get down here, down this area, I'm going to start just going with water to lighten it up. So I like this value here. I want this value to be darker up here. So that's going to be my goal. And normally I wouldn't do it. Not very often do I do it this way, but that's what this painting calls for. So I'm going to tip it this way, just like that. And I'm going to get into my blue here. And I'm going to start right up here and lay that in there. Now this is dry, the paper, it's not wet. So I'll be adding the moisture to it. So I go over that, and I'm stroking it real light, and I don't keep going over it. I don't want to agitate the surface too much. Now I'm kind of switching to more water, less pigment. Like that, so you can see how dark it's getting there. Okay, this is just water, slightly tinted water out of my bucket here. And just keep coming down with it. Keep coming down. I'm going to go all the way down with it just for continuity, so to speak. All the way back up. Things are looking good, and then take and tilt it like this again. Make those colors run. Again, my goal is to get a nice rich dark up around the balloon and to keep it light down towards the bottom. And tilting it this way will get some of those horizontal lines out of there. Clean up the mess that's along the edges and the top here. Just like so. Hold it really vertical, and that will keep the pigment moving. Seeing a few horizontal lines on it, but not too bad. I think it'll be okay. I want to come in with a slightly different brush here, and I want to hit this, just add a little more moisture to it, try to get it to move the way I want it to. This is pretty risky, but I want the painting a certain way, and I'm willing to take the chance on it. There we go. Now we got enough moisture on there, I think. I hope. You see it kind of comes down ragged there, but I'm not worried about that. Because what I'll do is just turn it sideways like this. And those colors, they'll go this way. They're going to follow gravity. However you turn this, the water is going to follow gravity. So, and by doing that, by utilizing gravity, you stand to get a much smoother and softer wash on there. And remember, it's called letting the picture paint itself. And we also, you notice how we've got some bubbles back in there, the paper's warping on it. Well, the pigment's trying to fall into the valleys there, so I'm working diligently to kind of keep it from settling down in the bottom like that. It's gonna be okay. But I've got the dark I wanted up there now. I think this is gonna be okay. So I'm just gonna keep tilting it. Sometimes it just takes a couple seconds in one direction. Other times you might need to hold it for a minute to 2 minutes in one way, but then other times just 5-10 seconds. You're just making gravity move that paint around, so just keep your eye on it and give it whatever it needs. I'm noticing a big puddle coming down here. So what I'm going to do is come up right along there and just barely let that paper towel drag over the edge of that and mop that up. Just like that. Yeah, that's looking good. That's looking real good. It was a good choice to go ahead and hit that a second time, although it was risky. Okay. So I want to do one other thing here. I'm going to set it like this for just a moment here. I want to take and I'll show you on here where these trees are at. I want to take and drop a little bit of color down in there. It's going to bleed out, but it'll give me just kind of a little highlight. So let's try that. I'll reach over here, grab this round, and I'm going to start with a little bit of raw sienna. Let's just see what that does. And the raw sienna is going to be pretty moist. You can see what it's doing here. So I want to just do this. Just drop it in like so. While that's nice and wet, let it just kind of move around, do its thing. Come in over here. I'm going to try some. I got a color here called Caput Mortem Violet. I don't know what that's going to do, but let's see here. It's kind of like a burnt sienna, I guess. Just a little hint of that to add some variety in there. We could even kick a little bit of blue in there because it's a dark that's down there. Okay, I'm going to flip this around so I can get a perspective on it now. Okay, so we see the trees starting to develop there. And get a little more of that Caput Mortem Violet and then some Moon Glow, I think. Just trying to get some kind of representation down here. This is not the final thing I'm going to do to the trees. I'm going to do more to them. But while it's wet like this, it'll go give me some soft blends that I can't get any other way. Get a little bit of that Caput Mortem Violet and Moon Glow down here. Okay, and then if you know, I'm feeling like I need to go up a little higher with that. Make those trees, make that little valley. If you remember in the drawing video, I talked about that. So I want to get a little more depth in that. So I'll make this tree a little bit higher. There we go. Keeping it simple, don't overwork it. All right, I think that's doing the job right there. So back to the hairbrush, or the hair dryer, and I'm going to get this dry before anything goes bad on it, and then I will probably remove that masking fluid off of there before I come back to film. So I will. I'm going to stop this for right now. All right, yeah, I'm back, and I've got this dry. I'll tip it up where you can see how flat it is, that it laid down level again. Everything's looking really good. In reality, this is a little darker than it appears on the screen, but not that much. So I'm ready to take this masking fluid off here, and so I'll do that. I want to be careful because when you use colors, particularly like a phthalo green, a phthalo blue, something like that, those really intense staining colors, and you get them on your masking fluid like this, and then you pull that off there. If you happen to hit a wet spot and get it on your finger, you can roll it across there, and it's going to stain your white, and then you're toast. You're done. So just be mindful of that. I just tested this. I took a paper towel and blotted it on here real carefully, and there's nothing coming up. So it's ready to go. So in order to lift this up, there's multiple ways you can do this. You can take your hands here, your fingers, and you can push on it like that right there, and that just came off there. And I can just keep working my way up like that. You can use an eraser, which also erases your pencil that's underneath there, so you want to be careful of that, because I want to keep some of those pencil lines so I know where I'm painting. So I'll just keep working this with my finger like this. That's coming out pretty good, pretty bright, pretty intense. So far I haven't missed with masking fluid. I don't have any little bits of color that have popped through. I ended up putting 2 coats of masking fluid on it. just keep working your way up. And then get my hand out of the way. You can see you can do this too. You can pull it. Since this is so heavy, it'll probably all pull right off there. But it's just like liquid rubber. All right. Great contrast. The balloon really pops out of there. I'll set this alongside it here so you get an idea. So this is really gonna stand out for me, particularly when I put that dark in there, like I'll call it black, but it's not really black. I'm off on my masking a little bit over here, but if you look at the side over here, this is the side of the balloon there. That's all in shadow, so I can easily correct that. So when I come back in the next segment, we are going to try to work on the balloon, and we will also finish out the trees here. We'll pull the tape off, and this will be ready to go. Should be done then. So.